Troy. Yeah, should we do an intro? Should
Yeah,
there be
well,
like a
yeah, since this is the first one that'll probably end up going up, we'll just give a quick idea as to what we're doing. So, as you all know, we are members of DMs After Dark, and it's been a great time just getting to do this endeavor. What started off as just all of us kind of playing RPG games together, turned into something that we were like, you know what, we can share this with other people. We can introduce other people to RPGs and yeah, just get like nerdy, get crazy with it. So it's been a lot of fun. But we had the idea not too long ago to do a interview style recording. So
meet the DMs?
meet the DMs. That's
Yeah,
right. So, and I think it's going to be great because some of us know each other. Like you and I know each other. We've known each other
yeah,
for years.
yeah.
But some of us don't know each other very well. Like Christian and Sarah, I don't know either of them very well.
Right. Although I
And
think
I think
they've been playing together for a while, so it is funny.
exactly.
And I think we've
Yeah,
actually tried to structure a good mix in the interviews we're going to be doing. Like you and I obviously know each other very well. I think
sure.
Amber is interviewing Jess, which is going to be fun because they're very
Oh
close.
God.
But then yeah, there's going to be a few where it is going to be, how well do you know this person? And for six people who've been gaming together for going on almost a year now or more in some of our cases.
Yeah.
um it is going to be interesting to see, what I mean? Like there are blind spots for sure. Like we know how each other play games, but how much do we really know?
Yeah. So
So
so this will be a good opportunity for us to get to know each other more, and also for the viewers to get to know us more, not only as gamers,
right.
obviously that first, because that's what we're all about, but also just get to know us a little bit more.
Yeah, there'll
So
be there'll be sprinkles of our real lives somewhere in here.
yes, absolutely. And we do have Team Chaos interviewing Team Wholesome, and vice versa, because we
Yes.
just thought that that would be nice and spicy.
Which
So
I still hope that we did polls a little while back to see who thought what, and the people were pretty dead on with that kind of stuff. But as we play more and more games, I think people will start realizing just how divided those lines are, how cleanly
listen,
divided.
I'm slightly disappointed that I was just unanimously chaos. I feel like sometimes I have a little element of wholesomeness in here.
It's funny, your characters, you tend to have very Troy as a person. It's actually, it's funny because people voted on Jess. This is probably going to get cut because this isn't meeting the DMs, but people voted on Jess as a person, even though Jess plays pretty chaotic characters, and people voted
Sure.
on you because your characters are always just ridiculous.
They are. They
Ridiculous.
are. So
And yet you are one of the more wholesome people I've ever met in my life. So
sure. Sure, that's fair.
but you play chaos.
I do. When I'm thinking of my character concepts, I'm like, what is a really just outrageous concept? And then
Yeah.
how do I make that work in this game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the concept first, and then it's the game
Troy,
mechanics second.
Troy, enough about you. This episode's about me.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. So so let's get things started off. Before we get into the D&D thing, I'm gonna
Sure.
give you like 2 minutes to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man, I suck at talking about myself, actually. I will talk a
Perfect.
lot about the stuff that I'm nerdy about, but
Sure.
myself, like my actual being, I've never been good at self-promotion. I've never been good at talking about myself. But here goes. The quick
Here
rundown
we go.
is I'm Rene. I'm ex-musician. I played in a lot of bands throughout my teenage years and 20s. Was lucky enough to play in some bands that got to tour a little bit. Wrote a lot of what I still consider to be really good music with some of my best friends.
It
Um,
is.
and yeah, it's I've always had some kind of creative outlet, and yet for some reason that never really panned in my actual like life trajectory. I've always been very nerdy as far as like biology goes. For a while, I thought I was going to go into medicine. I didn't. I ended up going full hippie, and now I'm a
Yes.
wetland biologist. Yeah, so like I'm always outside. I'm
Wetland
always in the
bio.
woods. I'm in the woods. I'm hiking around for my day job. I get to walk through the woods and go to wetlands. It's pretty great.
Swampy boy.
Yeah, I'm a swamp. I'm a swamp bender for sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, I I have a coming up on a 1 year old, so that's very fun.
We can tell the
um,
bags under your eyes that gives it
yeah,
away. Yeah.
I can't wait to introduce him into whatever he likes doing. But yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, this I'm honestly not an interesting person. I'm just
I think
overbearingly excited about nerdy stuff.
I think there definitely is something that you left out that I would love you to touch base on, which is the fact that you were like a nationally ranked Super Smash Bros. Champion or
No, no,
something
no,
like
no,
that.
no, 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 no. Not
Okay,
even
well,
close.
okay,
No.
you're
I played
humble, but
competitive. I played
you played
competitive.
competitively. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not say I was even up there. I did all right. I competed for a little bit in New England, but I got stomped by anyone who was anyone around here.
Interesting. Okay. Do you have a go-to character? Just
In
out of curiosity.
Smash,
Yeah.
I
Because
played a lot.
everyone's played Smash or no
Yeah.
Smash. Like
Um,
literally everybody.
Honestly, I'm one of those awful people, and this actually makes sense. This segues well into like how I like approach a lot of things in my life. Yes, I have a main. I like Luigi because he's just a goofball in Smash. But I'll also play. I like Inkling in Smash Ultimate a lot. But I'm one of those people who I'd rather get pretty good at every character than
Sure.
really good at any one character.
Yeah.
And I do that with RPGs a lot too. Like I'm not good.
Right.
I'm not great at any one part of GMing, but I'm ready for just about anything.
Yes.
I'm that person
Yeah.
who will be like, I'll trash talk in Smash, and I'll be like, let's play right now. Like obviously, no items, only like tournament stages, and I let you pick who I beat you with. Like that's how confident I am in Smash. But
Yeah. I'm not that great, but
oh no,
I'll beat
I
you
will
with
tell you right now, if I
anybody.
went to a local tournament, I would get stomped in a minute, for sure. Oh god, yeah.
Casually though, you would dominate.
Yeah. I'm good among people who don't know better.
It's all about setting the audience, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, Rainey, thanks for that little introduction for everybody here. We'll start off with some of the more kind of structured questions. So we as a group went over some different question ideas, primarily around RPGs. And I kind of know this answer, so I'm excited to ask you this. But the first question was, who introduced you to RPGs, and what was the first game system that you played?
Yeah. Well, Troy, that would be you. That would be you, and we played D&D 3.5.
Yes, we did.
It was what a time. We started with the real crunch, In fact, I believe, and I don't know if you even know this, I believe I still have a couple of your 3.5 books downstairs in my library.
You might, and that's fine. You can have them now. You've earned them.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, 3.5. That was the system I grew up with too, and it was very, very mechanic heavy. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised that sparked your interest for mechanic stuff.
Yeah, I'm a huge mechanics nerd. As we go through these podcasts and these Meet the DMs, we always joke about it on Modified Roles. Christian and I are the we have a problem with our collections. We just can't stop buying RPGs, but like I digest mechanics like it's just get all the sweets in the world. You know what I mean? But yeah, like 3.5 really set me off on that, because like when you start getting into games like that was like the beginning of like real bloat in an RPG system.
Yeah, it
so
really
many
was.
books, so many options. Honestly, like if you wanted to play a very specific character, you had to follow the most perfect feat tree and meet all these prerequisites. And like in a way, I think it's funny that that's where I started, because now I'm like I love mechanics, but I actually love breaking a mechanic down to the simplest thing it can be, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Which is not 3.5.
Not 3.5 at all. Yeah.
Objectively, that's not.
Although, you know what? There may be some hypocrite in that, because I'm not a big fan of 5e, but I like Pathfinder 2e, which is crunch in weird ways. But okay. I don't know. It's about boiling something down, and I've realized that mechanics are about designing something to do what you want it to do. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think you introduced me to RPGs, Troy.
Yeah, which is wild, because I didn't know that until you said it on the Modified Roles podcast. I really didn't know that I was the first person to introduce you to RPGs.
Technically, I will say this. Technically, Lynn's best friend, my wife's best friend, your cousin Lynn, my wife, her
therefore
best friend,
still me.
Yeah, her best friend, her ex-husband, technically showed us. We were away for a weekend, and we played some Munchkin, And that
Okay.
actually got me like really like, oh, this is fun. I like this. You know what I mean? Like card games because we played
Munchkin is
Magic.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just happened to have the playtest of like D&D Next, which was the playtest version of 5e. And we did like one like 2 hour thing when we were like away, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on at all. But I think that was just enough for me to be like, what is this role playing game thing? And then that's
Mhm.
when you were like, oh, dude, I do that. And I
Yes.
just
Yeah.
I didn't even look. Like that could have been the most shallow pool of water ever, and I just dove face first into it as deep as I could.
Yes. Yeah, and it worked out great. I mean, look at where we are now. You're, fully vested in
It
a
has consumed my
retirement thing.
life.
Yeah. um, if I recall, I feel like I think we started obviously hanging out because I was hanging out with Lynn and Ed,
Yep.
in the gang, so to speak, right?
Yep.
Um, and I think we started off with Magic because you played
Yeah.
Magic for a long time.
Correct.
And,
Yeah.
and I liked Magic too. So Magic was kind of it's Wizards of the Coast.
Yep.
And it was kind of a really good segue into role playing.
Yeah.
Magic is really not that far off from role playing because you have to have a creative mind to be competitive, to build good synergies and combos. The artwork and stuff is pretty inspiring, and it's very similar to what you would see in a lot of the high fantasy role playing games, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, it blows my mind that it took D&D so long to make official Magic projects. Like that, I can't believe it took them till like the last few years. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree. No, that was good times. You know what would be really fun, and maybe we can post it up as a bonus content or something. But I remember before I had left, moved to Iowa. Yes. You had somebody on. Was it Reddit or?
Yeah.
Go ahead, talk. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, and to this day, it's actually kind of funny because to this day, for all of the games I've run, all of the campaigns, I've run long campaigns, published adventures from start to finish. Like, I've been lucky enough that a lot of groups don't get to do that. We didn't even finish our campaign. We were playing a homebrew story of yours, but it was just like our first experience, and that like everyone watching this will know. They'll be like, oh man, that like first just invested character, all that stuff.
Yes.
And you were going away for the Air Force, and I just went on Reddit and I was like, hey, if anybody could just draw my party. And I gave a little blurb about each of them, and somebody was like, I'll take a stab at it, and then gave us the most ridiculously amazing.
Perfect.
Absolutely. It was incredible. They were like,
Unreal.
I'll take a stab at it. And I was like, today, like if I didn't know any better, like today, if I got that back from somebody, that's a easily $100 commission.
Yeah. I'd like give them money.
More,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that person deserves way more than just my upvote on Reddit, but young me was just like, cool, Troy, here you go.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I should track that person down.
Yeah. We should. It's electronic. There's got to be records. So.
Yeah. We'll post it on the socials with this when this goes live, and I'll see if I can give that person credit, 10,
Absolutely.
11, 12, who knows how many years later.
Let's talk them up for sure. Maybe they do that for a hobby. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was awesome. Your first character was Mog, right?
Mog, yes.
Mog. Tell us about Mog. Tell us about your first character in a role-playing game.
And I think that this really set the table because Mog was a gnome druid. Like, that's me in a nutshell, like a little
that's literally Rene,
shit stirrer who just wants to be out in nature. That's me, and to this day, nobody plays gnomes. I fucking love gnomes. Give me more gnomes.
Are great.
I want gnomes.
Gnomes are great.
But I had this big wolf companion that I would ride around, and
Ghost.
Yeah, and oddly enough, fittingly, you killed it.
That was pre
Game of Thrones.
Pre-Game of Thrones, which is crazy, right? Because then Game of Thrones came out.
Pre me knowing about Game of Thrones, because that came out in like the 90s, but still, yeah.
Oh, sure.
The show.
It
was pre the show. Yeah. But yeah, and then of course you killed it, so it was a fitting name.
Dude, that was sad. That was really sad. That was one of the last sessions we had too.
Yeah. And in my grief, I jumped into the arms of a vampire, and you were like, that's like negative level drain, bud. And I was like, this system sucks.
Yeah, it was perfect timing because that would have kind of went off the rails a little bit if I was sticking around to continue that. But that was a great campaign. That was a lot of fun.
It was very fun.
All right, let's see what we got here for the next question. We talked a little bit about the wonderful person that introduced you to
Yeah.
RPGs. We talked about your first character.
Humble
Um,
beginnings.
this is a cool one. So I actually don't know how you started segueing from being a player to being a DM. Did you just kind of absolve the role of a DM when I left and started doing your own stuff? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I am 100% the person, like we've talked about, who wants to, like, I don't understand. And yet I'm so grateful for these people because they are the player base of all RPGs. I don't understand
Right.
the people who just go, like, I want to play, but won't read the book. Like, give me the book. I'm going to read it. I want to know it all. Like, tell me more
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
how this system works. You know what I mean? Again, maybe this is me being a biologist. You know what I mean? Like, I have to understand like how
Right.
something functions, like
The
why, what
systems
makes
behind.
this
Yeah.
work, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I want to define the things that are incredibly important cogs in this machine, and then like the things that are like beautiful little fluff, and you know what I mean, like the things that
Yeah.
make it go and the things that make it beautiful, you know.
Right.
So yeah, once I just bought, like, on Craigslist or eBay or something, a bunch of 3.5 books and just dove in. And then I was like, oh, I have plenty of my own ideas, let's make this happen.
Mm.
And I want to say one of the first, like, I ran a few things that, like, you know, with that group of friends of ours from our hometown, but you know, nothing committed, plus it was like me learning. I think the first thing that, like, I really was like, I want to DM and I have ideas, and I actually recently found my notebook for it.
Was it Pokemon?
No, but we'll get into that. I recently found my notebook for it. I had a job as a undergrad college person through summers where I was a park ranger, and we worked the midnight shift. We worked
Yes.
midnight to 8 a.m. or
Brett
10. Yeah,
and
with
then Zach. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Zach wasn't there yet, but basically what
Yeah.
happened was we worked this graveyard shift, and we were park rangers. Everyone who was staying at the park was asleep. Like, unless there's an emergency, we got like 3 jobs to do, and otherwise this is where, if anybody ever catches that, if we blow up, my old manager is going to be like, that son of a bitch. But we had like we had like a half-hour lunch or whatever, you know, that we would take at like 3:30 in the morning. But instead we would play like an hour and a half of D&D every night of our week, of
Yeah.
our work week. And so it was me, you know, I would go, we would play an hour and a half of D&D, we'd go do our work, and then the next day I'd wake up or whatever, and I was an undergrad college kid, I had nothing but time, so I would just write, what are we doing tonight in D&D? And it was a
Mhm.
summer's worth of, like, imagine 5 D&D sessions a week, you know what I mean? Like,
That's crazy. That's so
and it
much.
wasn't, and we didn't get to play 5 days, but it was like, it was a lot. And
Yeah.
that was what really honed my storytelling, because like it wasn't one of those things where I could overthink it. Like, I had to prep and encounter an
Chunks.
NPC,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and like it made my improv skills better. And maybe, you know what I mean? It was the
Yeah.
perfect storm of just running a game. And that campaign was really great. Like, it was all newbies other than Brett, who was like, you know, uh a little
I played a
familiar.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just, yeah, went crazy.
That's awesome. I can't believe you found that notebook too. That's
I
wild.
recently found it. Yeah, like, I don't even know
Holy
how
crap.
it survived all these years, but I opened it up and I was like, a hand-drawn map of, like, you know, like,
Yep.
yeah,
Dude,
of the Dale
3.5.
lands, where like I was just like, why did I make this in the Dale lands? Like, one of the most random Forgotten Realms places.
Right?
I just like opened
Yeah.
up, pointed at the thing, went there. That's the one.
There. Yep. I've done that too. I feel like
Yeah,
we've all done that. Like if
yeah,
anyone's played 3.5, especially getting into it, you're like, I don't know shit about any of this.
yeah,
This one.
yeah. Purple Knights sound cool. Cormier, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cormier, exactly.
sure. And you don't know
No,
anything
that's
about it.
awesome. So then you went from kind of playing with your home group and eventually you started doing more published adventures, right? Because you
Yeah.
did Storm King's Thunder with your home group and you played the whole thing through, and
Yep,
that
that
went
we've
super
done.
well.
Yep, we did Storm Kings. We had 6 people, but like we ended up swapping a few. So I think all in all, we had like 7 or 8 characters, like players, through that
Mhm.
campaign. Then we had another group of, like, mostly the same group, go through Tomb of Annihilation. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've had some luck running published adventures, and you know, we all know I'm not the D&D fan anyway, so I can say this. I think that Wizards of the Coast's adventures are pretty lacking, like as far as
Sure.
5e goes. Um, I've never run older ones, but I've heard equally meh things. But again, it teaches you a lot about how to write and run adventures, you know.
Right. That way you can
Um,
take your own creative liberties and make it what you
yeah.
will.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm lucky enough to have players who, when I ask them to come with a character with a decent backstory, I've always told my players, bring knives to the first session. Like, I want something to stab you with at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Proverbial knives, by the way.
Yes,
Rainey is
metaphorical
not in a
knives.
cult.
Don't bring real knives to my games, please. No, and I want to stab you. No. Yes, bring metaphorical knives in the form of important details from your backstory that I can use to juice up the story.
Right.
But you know what it was is like, and it is things like that where like it was right around that time when my little homebrew experiment kind of ended for the summer, and I went back to school, and it was like, oh, I got to run more games, and I was just disappointed in like running published things.
Yeah.
That I just started running other game. I found like other games.
Yeah. Mouse Guard was one of the first
I
ones
love
you
Mouse
got
Guard.
into. Pokemon,
Yes.
right?
Yep, Pokemon
Yep.
tabletop games. There's quite a few fan-made ones, obviously no official ones. But I mean, like, that's the dream, right? Like playing a Pokemon trainer. Like, that's what everyone wants from an actual Pokemon game. That isn't like holding your hand like you are still 9 years old, going like, okay, don't worry, you're not actually ever gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like you want to be like, and this is something again, as a biologist, as an environmental scientist, Pokemon's such a cool thing, like evolutionarily speaking, like how all of them would function ecologically in a world. Like it makes such cool things that like even the Pokemon franchise, I'm like, bro, like we would not be living in a world that looks like that if we had electricity generating creatures. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, first of all, there would be a lot of like mafia smuggling mink.
No, listen, not all of my games are mafia pieces.
But it's just because it's so close to real life, though. That's why.
But yeah, I ran Titan's Grave, Ashes of Alcana, Will Wheaton's game that uses the age system, which is published by Green Ronin. It's a really cool 3d6 system, and it taught me immediately, like the Pokemon system was dice pools, and it was all big dice pools, and I went, okay, I don't like that. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes spending 15 minutes adding up their rolls. The age system was a nice probability statistically well-designed system that I'm surprised has never really caught on. But you roll 3d6 plus modifiers and stuff like that, and 3d6 is a very nice distribution curve. Like you could get very predictable results, but it makes that like that roll of a 16, 17, 18, you're like, oh snap, that's fire right there. You know what I mean? Right. And it makes those
threes and fives and
bad. Real bad. But that was my beginning of mechanics loving.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I wanted to touch base on something else too. So in addition to running for your home group and for our group DMs After Dark and stuff like that, you started running for the library as well. Which I've also had the opportunity to do a little bit with. I know in the past they do the West Warwickons, which are always really fun. Those are great. And you got to play. I feel like the past couple of years you've done Dungeon World, and
I've run a Dungeon World one shot
awesome.
Every single West Warwickon, and I love Dungeon World as a fantasy game alternative powered by the Apocalypse systems. That's another good one. That was my introduction to PBTA, powered by the Apocalypse games. 2d6 plus modifier, 3 degrees of success, or the mixed success, failure, and unmitigated success. Dungeon World's great. As much as I want that game, as much as every time I run that game, I want it to be like this, like serious, like
it just can't. It just
gets ridiculous. It gets absolutely bonkers off the wall, and it's so fun.
Listen, I know we're obviously on like a set time limit here, but like if you wanted to just really quickly just talk about some of the key points in the one that we all played together, and just how it went from one thing to another. It's a collaborative effort, like a collaborative world building. So that's really cool because everyone gets input. But holy shit, what was our quest? Like the end goal? Like,
it does. I've been lucky enough to have recurring players too that liked it the first time enough that they've come back. But I think the whole thing hinged on this one character that our friend Kelly played, who was Greg the Pious, but not Pious, Pious, PIE-OUS. Greg the Pious, who is on a holy quest as a paladin to find the truest pie. What is the truest? what is the perfect pie? And so like there's so much room to just get dumb there. Like, are we talking pumpkin pie? Are we talking apple pie? Are we talking blueberry cobbler? Are we talking meat pies? You know what I mean? Yeah, and then you get into like, is fruitcake a pie? And I don't think it is. But, you can get it. But yeah, so we had that ridiculous
Semantics.
quest line, and everybody else's character was just like along for the
We just kind
ride.
of went along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just described food at one point, and she just goes, "But could it be a pie?" You know,
Yeah.
your character
Caesar.
Troy. Yeah, your character was a ranger, and in Dungeon World, the ranger's companion gets to put tags on it, and I believe you made a oversized tactical like war pigeon. Was that like hunting
It was
pigeon?
like a hunting, ferocious, intimidating, like humongous pigeon.
Pigeon.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
always like it'd scout ahead and we'd just be like, walking down the trail and we just see this pigeon just covered in blood on top of like a buffalo carcass. And we're like, what the fuck?
Dinner for the night. You know what I mean? Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Hunting pigeon.
Hunting pigeon.
So good.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
Yeah. That's true too. I mean, I will joke about it forever. Like Mouse Guard is a game that if you've read the Mouse Guard comics by David Peterson, you look at the art and you go, oh, how cute. It must be such a cute little story. And yet, let's be honest, name mouse fiction that isn't at some point kind of ridiculous. Like you have Redwall by Brian Jacques. That series is not exactly like, it's kid friendly, I guess. It's like middle grade, but like characters die, like they have swords and they stab each other. Like rats are like brutal warlords and stuff. If you read the Mouse Guard comics, like mice are helpless against anything. Like everything will kill a mouse.
Trapped,
and like
cats,
people die. Yeah, like
poison.
Like they die. You lose character. Like it's brutal. And Mouse Guard is supposed to be a game that does kind of like bring that oppression and like make you work for everything, and yet every time I run games they just get dumb. Like I really just embrace the stupid. That's my
it's your group too. Sorry.
No, it's fine, it's great.
It always ends up with like mafia undertones and illicit drug dealing. I always have a gun somehow.
I'm about to start putting the kibosh on that, Troy. No more just random guns.
Listen, it's fine. Okay. Rene, what's your favorite memory as a GM?
Oof.
This is a tough question, but I think how long we've been playing and how many games we've run and how many incredible sessions I'm sure we've all had. I mean, I know I personally can think about sessions where literally players, myself, have like cried. And then other times where we've like laughed so hard hysterically and we still have these jokes 10 15 years later. So what is the most, I guess, either your favorite GM memory or like maybe the most impactful moment you've ever had in a campaign where you were the GM?
I've had moments where like most of the group has been like brought to tears during a moment. I've had moments where like we've had to like take breaks to like laugh. Like you said, I don't know if I can pinpoint a like one moment that was like the best feeling.
If you want, you can think about this, and it doesn't have to be.
One.
It doesn't have to be the best, right? It could just be very impactful, right? So maybe it was a moment where everybody cried. I don't know, but think about that. We'll go on to the next question, which is what was your biggest game master blunder? So maybe it was a flopped campaign. Maybe it was like, oh shit, I didn't read that correctly. I know you talked about it on the last Modified Roles episode where Jess had this like golem that was injecting people with these like these buffs, just giving it like, you get Cat's Grace, you get Bear's Endurance, temporary hit points, and Jess is like, what the hell? Why is this
is a bad monster? My biggest blunder is I'm not going to say I didn't respect the moment, but I definitely didn't handle a character death well. And what I mean by that is a character willingly like sacrificed himself, had a moment, wanted it to be this big moment. All these things had like been going wrong for him. And it was like, you know what, if anyone's going to bite the dust, let it be me. And he was a grave cleric. And he started, this was Tomb of Annihilation. So in Tomb of Annihilation, Resurrection revivifies off the table. He was a grave cleric. So like, that's a strange, first off, like moral place
handicap
to be.
Yourself real quick.
Yeah, right. And he ended up switching deities halfway through the adventure because like the hopelessness got to him, and he was in the jungles of Chult, and there were all these like old gods and like all these like
Right.
Chultan deity, like all this stuff. He ended up switching in a very desperate moment, and it was like he ended up switching and he became like a worshiper of like a fire elemental, like burn everything down. Like that became his new thing. Like if nobody can be saved, nothing's worth saving, burn it all down. And he went out in a blaze of glory. And I said that the flame god that he'd been worshiping approved. And like a phoenix from the ashes, the fire raged and he was reincarnated. And he came back, and he didn't want to come back. And we rolled on the chart, and he became an elf. So not only were all of his human woes, his like family suffering from this curse, this death curse, all this stuff, now he's going to outlive them. Now he's going to live forever.
Yeah.
And now he's, you know what I mean? Like, and in a way we were like, that was okay. But then like after like a few weeks of thinking about it, I had to be like, my bad, bro. That was bad. I should not have done that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that should have 100% been on him. But in the moment,
I was going to say, yeah,
you know,
that could have been, it sounds like it had all of the key elements to be like an incredible thing. But it would have taken some consulting with the player first, right?
Well, and it was one of those things where he came back and it was like like reincarnation's off the table, right? So like that shouldn't have been able to happen. They just beaten the bad guy though. So like, was it enough time to make all the stuff happen? Like there was a lot of just like mess about it. You know what I mean? In the end. Yeah. I felt really bad about it.
Okay. Well, I know, and we don't have to talk too in depth about it. And I don't even know the whole story, but I know for one, for role players in general, sometimes either life gets in the way. We talk about scheduling, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's been over a month since we've played Good Society because of just scheduling conflicts, right? So sometimes life gets in the way. You have kids, you have, changes in job schedules, sick family, whatever it may be, right? And sometimes your groups dissolve, but sometimes groups dissolve because of more
miscommunications.
Yeah, miscommunications and conflicts within the party and the group. And it's always terrible to see that happen, especially when it results in like, good friends, parting ways or whatever it may be. And I'm not saying this happened, but have you ever had an experience where you had to kind of deal with that, manage that? And you don't have to go in depth on it or say names or anything like that, but
less than the scheduling issues and stuff like that. Like I said, I run for pretty big groups regularly. I'm lucky enough to have friends who want to play. Yeah, like so I have to cycle friends in and out of games, and like for long-term campaigns I have to like kind of make it tough and whatnot. But COVID, honestly, like 2020, like between my wife working in the medical field, so we have to be super careful. We don't want to invite people over while she's dealing with sick people every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Getting pregnant, having a kid, we couldn't invite people over because she's pregnant, and then we have a baby, and then you know what I mean.
Right.
So like my home games have effectively not existed. That's another reason that DMs After Dark happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been such a blessing that we can play digitally, and we said, well, if we're gonna do this, just put it online. You know what I mean? Like, people need games right now, But that's been rough because there's a few friends that I will admit I'm awful at technology. Like I am not good at texting people. I hate social media. You know what I mean? Like I run our Instagram, and to all of you who follow us on Instagram, thank you for putting up with my severely lackluster posts, posting schedule. Like I am not good at it. I don't like I said, I'm out in the woods all day. I'm not trying to be on my phone.
That's true. No reception. It's not your fault. You don't have reception.
I'd rather be looking for salamanders than crafting some social media posts.
You should be in charge of the aviary where we have like the messenger pigeons. That's what you need to do. We need to get that off the ground.
And I will breed the biggest hunting pigeon you've ever seen, Troy, for you.
Ruthless. I love it.
But yeah, that's been the biggest bummer.
And anybody who plays RPGs and has in the past, few years or whatever, everybody gets that. Like literally that's something that hit the whole community hard. It had I mean, it was a world-changing event,
Yeah,
obviously, in so many ways.
I tried for a while to run for other groups on like Roll20 and stuff like that. It's just tough, you know what I mean? Like,
It is
because it'd be one thing, but like it's a whole new set of skills too for DMs to have to transition to
onto a
setting up a
system.
Roll20. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
setting up that, like learning how to do all these things. Like, yeah, you could just like
yeah,
crudely draw stuff or play theater of the mind on Zoom or whatever, but like it's nice when like you have this really cool setup and it works, but that's
yeah.
work for the DM, for your GM
A
to
ton,
put
a
in,
ton, a
a
ton.
ton of work.
No matter
I
how
put
proficient you are at, a system like Roll20, I feel like it still takes more time than just drawing something on a map.
I'm
Like,
still running another Storm King's Thunder group through for the library, and
yeah,
we've just stayed on Roll20 and on Zoom because I have a kid, one of my players had a kid, like everyone's just
it's
being safe.
easier. Yep.
It's easier. And I'll be honest, I spend way more time prepping, and granted I've run this adventure, but I've spent way more time prepping Roll20 for
Yeah.
that game
Yeah.
than I do like prepping the monsters and stuff like that, because
Right.
it's just a nightmare. It's in ugh.
Yeah, I've had a little experience with that at the library too. When I was doing the youth program, we ran on Roll20, and it's a learning curve, but it's first of all, it's a great outlet. It's a great option. I'm glad that they have it because some people love it. Some people
Yeah,
absolutely love it, and it makes gaming possible for a lot of groups.
yeah,
But you're right, it is. It's a lot of work. So,
yeah.
all right, how about that? How about we get back to that favorite GM moment?
Oh my
Did you
goodness.
think of something?
Um, hmm.
I
I
don't.
will.
I can't feel too bad that you're stumped because you literally sent me these questions.
This
So,
is fair. Well, and I told you when I signed out. Well, you'd been telling me the whole time. You're like, forget that. I got questions about
well,
you.
no, but free form and it's
Yeah.
fine. We don't have
Um,
to.
I'll say this. After our Storm King's Thunder home group thing, one of my players surprised everybody with hand drawn pictures of each of our characters.
Oh,
Um,
wow,
and
that's awesome.
and he's an incredible artist. Like that's his job. He's a graphic designer. And
No shit.
he drew these amazing sketched pictures. And I got one as the DM, and it's that classic hood over you, and I'm holding
Right.
a floating D20 in front of my face. And like I said, I've only gotten that one bit of art done in my whole DMing career for a party, but for him to be like, this meant so much to me.
Wow.
And he came out later and said like he was in a pretty rough spot before we started playing D&D, and that was the first
Yeah.
time he ever played. He was one of my wife's friends playing Destiny on PlayStation. We'd never met him in person, but she was like, hey, like you said you were interested in D&D, my husband's starting up a campaign, do you want to get in on it? He came to my house. He just hopped and just slotted right in. He's become one of our closest friends. He's still in my home group. And
Heck yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome.
and he drew us these amazing pictures. I'll post those too. I'm gonna make a note. Post
Yeah.
all
What
the
a
art
great
from my
story.
yeah, and like I've had a lot of players, say how great, like not to toot my own horn, but like, thank me for running games, thank me for, impactful moments in game that like meant a lot from whatever was going on in their lives. But
Yeah.
getting something physical from somebody being like, this meant so much, like here, I want you to have this,
It, and that's not an uncommon thing. I mean, for anybody that isn't into RPGs or is just getting into it, where this sounds way over the top, you'd be surprised if you do this for long enough and you have a consistent group and you're close friends. It's unbelievable the impact that role playing games and that those experiences and those sessions can have on you. I mean, like I literally have a tattoo sleeve inspired by Shadows of Estrin, a
yeah,
campaign that we've been running
yeah,
because it means that much to me.
yeah,
It's been such a great, incredible experience. So that's awesome. Yeah, definitely post those pictures up.
I will,
So
yeah.
that would be great for people to see. And I want to see them too. I haven't seen them. So
Actually, shout out Rosso. He did our logo. So let me see if I can.
oh, okay.
The Detective 20 over here. That's that. That's
Oh,
our dude.
damn.
Yeah,
Okay. I did not know that that was the guy that did that. That's
yeah, man.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Um, so I feel like we're getting towards the end here.
Yep.
I've got one more thing that I want to cover because I feel like Rainey, I've known you for a while, and
Hmm.
you're getting to know who somebody is, getting to know their past and how they get involved with RPGs. It's wonderful because it can help you understand more about why they work the way they work, what makes them tick, that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
something that I'm really excited for and I don't know if you're willing to talk about this, but is
Okay.
the Rene of the future, because I know
Oh.
you've been working on something,
Oh yeah.
and this is going to be incredible. Do you want to talk about what you've got going on?
Are you talking about what me and Christian have been working on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If probably no surprise to anyone listening and has listened to the DMs After Dark and knows that I am that mechanics nerd.
Mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm.
dipping my toes into game design quite a bit. I've actually got 2 games finished, one at 80%, and then Christian and I have been working on the most ambitious game I've ever considered being a part of, called
Crazy.
Rust. Well, let's not change the name yet. It is a near future apocalyptic RPG. It's not a genre I'm typically like super jazzed about. I'm a high fantasy sci-fi nerd. Like I love, like I
Mm-hmm,
digest a
mm-hmm.
lot of that in books and things like that. But Christian brought it up, and we have a lot of PDFs between the two of us. And I started
Yep.
scouring all of the games I had about like, apocalyptic games. And for some reason, and maybe this is why, we'll find out depending on how well our game is received, but they all have like they all go too far in my opinion. You know what I mean? Either it's 200 years in the future and stuff exists and you're just dealing with it, or they specifically tell you too much, like you're playing in a zombie apocalypse or aliens have invaded or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but like it's not about that immediate, you know oh snap, can I even survive? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
our game is designed to be 3 months after the fall. You know what I mean? Like we want to avoid the few weeks to first few months after a catastrophe, because that's just going to get sloppy and messy and nobody wants to talk about that trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
but
I get that.
but our game wants to talk about, uh if I didn't have electricity tomorrow and I had to go build a hut in the woods, could I find
How would
water?
you do? Yeah.
Could I find water? Could I hunt? Could I do whatever? And then
Yeah.
as I survive those first few months and like whatever's left of my hometown,
Yeah. The
are
people you've known
people
and
banding together, and how are they doing that? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have these really ambitious ideas. I came up with an innovative dice system that a dice mechanic I've never seen in any other game, that I'm very proud of. And I've done the
Hell
math.
yeah.
I talked to one of my friends who was a math major. I think he has his master's in math. And I was like, hey, run these numbers for me. Does this work? And he was like, I don't know what you want it for, but here's the stats and the probability. And I was like, I think this works.
That
And
looks
so
pretty good.
we have over 170 pages in a Google Doc right now. Yeah, from
Ah, damn.
yeah, like and not all rules, but like flavor, like
Sure.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
your player phase, you're gonna have your community phase, you're gonna have
Right.
like we aren't rewriting, we're not porting, we're not homebrewing an existing system. Like we're actually uh making a pretty cool game in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I hope that people like it.
Oh man,
um
I'm so
yeah,
excited for this, and the fact that you and Christian, it's a joint effort,
yeah.
is awesome, because I know Christian is just as passionate about RPGs as you are,
It's
and
actually
just as
been
well versed. I
it's
mean,
been
let's be honest.
such an interesting combo, because like we started just throwing ideas like spaghetti at a wall, spaghetti at a wall.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we
What
quickly
sticks?
we
Yeah.
quickly realized like I will handle the mechanic stuff, and
Yeah.
he is just so good at like the big picture stuff that I'm so bad at. You know what I mean? Like
Sure. Yeah.
he just needs to tell me, okay, like this exists. How does this work though? And I go dice, 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 dice this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's surprising how quickly it just turned into this crazy big thing. Sarah's
Yeah.
been helping
Yeah.
as well. Shout out to Sarah.
Sure.
She's been our like foot in the real world. Well, we're in a dark room just going like, and, like design goblining. You know what I mean? We've been like, Sarah, please pull us back from
Bring
the
us
void
back.
and let us know if we're
50
crazy or
feet of
not.
hemp rope. We're going in. Take
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Oh shit. That's amazing. I'm super excited.
Well, it'll
And I
definitely be
know it's
something that we're gonna play test on DMs After Dark. We're
oh,
gonna,
oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
so.
Absolutely. And you heard it here, folks. This is where you heard it first. Rainey is literally building and constructing an RPG with the help of some friends. So
No problem.
yeah, no, it's not a problem. It's fine. We encourage you. That's what friends are for. Well, I think we're probably coming up on that time here, Rainey. Is there anything else that you want our DMs After Dark army to know about you, or just advice or anything like that moving forward?
I will say
final closing thoughts kind of
yeah,
thing.
let me say
that.
I think three things. I'm going to say three things, but then I'll get to two and go, I don't have a third. Here goes. One, you learn from mistakes. That's a big thing. And like in RPGs, mistakes aren't going to be catastrophic, I promise you. So if you've been thinking about running a game, run a game, try it. You're going to learn a lot about the system that you've been running, and like, about what you bring to the table as a storyteller, as a DM, as a GM, whatever. The second thing is that you can never be too informed. A huge explosion happened in my mind as soon as I stepped out of D&D. And I will, in this group, we always joke about it, I am the person who's the harshest on Dungeons and Dragons as a game. It is the Kleenex of RPGs, and I have no problem with people who are playing D&D, who are running D&D. I'm sure they run incredible campaigns.
We will at some point.
Yes, you can look online and find people doing incredible things with Dungeons and Dragons, but those people are either very experienced and very comfortable with the system to the point where they can tweak it, like Brennan Lee Mulligan, who is an absolute virtuoso at Dimension 20. Like that guy can take a game designed for orcs and like dragons and run a high school game or run a Game of Thrones candy game. Like not a lot of people can do that. That takes a lot of work. He is incredibly good at what he does. Instead, if you want to run a game like that, there are other games out there, and I implore you to, even if you don't have a local game shop that carries indie games, itch.io, Drive Through RPG, you can find PDFs for less than $10. And even if it's a game that you go, I'm not a huge fan of this, running it or digesting its mechanics will do wonders.
There's always transition to other games. I mean, there's always bleed through,
Yeah, I mean, like we said, this is our mission statement as DMs After Dark, and I will be a broken record about that forever. And three, I said I was going to say three things and run out after two, and that's where I'm at. So, you know what?
Man of your word, Rainey.
Improv.
Man of your word. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, Rainey. It was awesome to just be able to talk with you, catch up with you, get to hear a little bit more about your just kind of what brought you into this wonderful world of RPGs.
You did.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it was awesome. So hopefully hopefully you guys like it. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that you want to see for the future interviews, because there's going to be 6 of them total, please let us know. We want to get as much engagement and involvement from you guys as possible, because without all of you, this would just be something that we still continue to do without streaming, and it would be amazing and super fun, but we wouldn't get the gratification of introducing other people.
Honestly, it just means a lot. Anytime we get a comment, anytime we get anything, we're just glad you enjoy it. You know what I mean? We're putting it out there, but it means a lot.
Or if you don't, there's something to be said for trolls. I'm just saying.
I like criticism. Let me know. Let me know. I'll do better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get good, scrub. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for joining us here at DMs After Dark. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you all in the near future. Until next time, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Cue outro music.
All right.